everyone. Welcome back to Talk Crew, the podcast where we chat about life in simple, everyday English.
I'm Max.
And I'm Ava. Today we're talking about love stories, and Max is going to share something pretty personal with us.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about my first long-distance relationship. It was quite an experience.
Oh, this should be interesting. So, Max, how did this all start?
Well, it was back in college. I was studying in Chicago, and I met this girl, Sarah, during spring break in Florida.
Uh-huh.
We hit it off immediately. You know how sometimes you just click with someone? We spent the entire week together, talking for hours, walking on the beach, just connecting.
That sounds so romantic. But wait, where was she from?
That's the thing. She was from Seattle. So after spring break ended, we were literally on opposite sides of the country.
Oh, wow. Chicago to Seattle. That's like, what, 3 hours time difference?
2 hours, actually, but yeah, it was tough. We decided to try to make it work, though. This was 2010, so we had Facebook, Skype, texting.
Right.
But it wasn't like today with FaceTime and all these apps. We had to plan our calls, you know? I remember setting alarms to call her between classes.
That's so sweet. So how long did you guys try to make it work?
About 8 months. At first, it was really exciting, you know? Getting a text from her would make my whole day. We'd stay up late talking on Skype.
Mm-hmm.
We'd even watch movies together online, like we'd count down 1, 2, 3, play, and start the movie at the same time.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that idea.
Yeah, it was really creative. But after a few months, it started getting harder. I think the hardest part was when something good or bad happened, and I couldn't share it with her right away.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like, I'd ace a test and want to tell her immediately, but she'd be in class or sleeping because of the time difference. Or I'd have a bad day and just want a hug, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Physical presence is so important in a relationship.
Exactly. And then there were the trust issues. Not that either of us did anything wrong, but when you can't see what someone's doing every day, your mind starts playing tricks on you.
Right, that makes sense.
She'd mention hanging out with friends, and I'd wonder if there were guys there. She probably felt the same way about me. It wasn't healthy, but it's normal, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Did you guys ever visit each other?
We tried to. I flew out to Seattle once, and she came to Chicago once. But flights were expensive for college students, you know? Each trip cost like $400.
Oh, wow. That's a lot when you're in college.
Right? So we could only see each other maybe once every 3 months. And when we did meet up, there was all this pressure for it to be perfect, you know? Because we didn't know when we'd see each other again.
That sounds really stressful.
It was. And eventually, we both realized that we were missing out on our college experience. We were so focused on maintaining this long-distance relationship that we weren't really living in the moment.
So, what happened? Did you guys break up mutually?
Yeah, we did. It was actually a really mature conversation. We both admitted that we cared about each other, but the distance was just too hard. We decided to break up before we started resenting each other.
That sounds like a really healthy way to handle it. Do you still keep in touch?
We're Facebook friends and we'll like each other's posts occasionally. She got married a couple years ago, and I was genuinely happy for her. It's nice to see that we can still care about each other as friends.
That's really sweet. So, what did you learn from that whole experience?
I learned that love isn't always enough. Sometimes timing and circumstances matter just as much. And I learned that it's okay to let go of something good if it's preventing you from being happy.
Wow, that's really wise, Max. Thank you for sharing that story with us. I think a lot of our listeners can relate to that.
Thanks for listening, Ava. It actually feels good to talk about it.
Well, that's all for today's episode of Talk Crew. Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember, we love hearing your stories too, so send us a message on our social media. You know, Max, that really resonates with me. I actually went through something similar during my senior year of college. Would you mind if I shared my experience too?
Next week, we'll be talking about embarrassing moments and funny mistakes. Trust me, I have some good ones. Of course, I'd love to hear about it. It's always interesting how different people handle these situations.
Oh, know, I can't wait. Until next time, keep practicing your English and keep sharing your stories. Bye, everyone. Well, mine was actually quite different. I met someone online first. This was on a language exchange app where I was practicing my Spanish. His name was Carlos, and he lived in Barcelona.
Bye.
Oh, wow. So you started as language partners? That's actually really romantic.
It really was. We started just doing language exchanges. I'd help him with his English for 30 minutes, then he'd help me with Spanish for 30 minutes. But after a few weeks, we were talking for hours, way beyond just language practice.
That's so sweet. So how long were you doing the language exchange before it became something more?
About 3 months, we started sharing more personal things, our dreams, our families, what we wanted to do with our lives, and I realized I was looking forward to our calls more than anything else in my day. That's when I knew it was becoming something deeper.
I totally understand that feeling. What was the time difference like between here and Barcelona?
6 hours ahead. So when I was having lunch, he was already finishing dinner. We had to be really strategic about our communication. I'd text him good morning, and by the time he replied, it would be my afternoon.
That sounds even more complicated than what Sarah and I dealt with. How did you handle the communication challenges?
We actually got really good at it. We'd leave each other voice messages throughout the day, so even if we couldn't talk live, we could still hear each other's voices. And we'd send photos of what we were doing. Like, I'd send him a picture of my coffee in the morning, and he'd send me a photo of his evening walk.
That's actually brilliant. It's like you were sharing your daily lives even though you were so far apart. Did you ever get to meet in person?
We did. After about 6 months of talking, I saved up and flew to Barcelona for a week during my spring break. I was so nervous. You know that feeling when you've only known someone online and you're about to meet them face to face?
Oh, absolutely. That must have been terrifying and exciting at the same time. How did it go?
It was magical, honestly. He picked me up at the airport, and the moment I saw him, all my nervousness just melted away. We had this instant chemistry in person, too. He showed me around Barcelona, we ate amazing food, practiced our languages together in person.
That sounds like a dream trip, but I'm guessing it made coming back home even harder.
Oh my God, yes. Leaving Barcelona was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Now I knew exactly what I was missing. Not just his voice or his texts, but his laugh, the way he gestured when he talked, how he made me feel safe when we were walking around the city together.
I can totally relate to that. Meeting in person just makes the distance feel so much more real and painful. How long did you guys keep trying after that?
We kept going for another 4 months. He came to visit me here for 2 weeks that summer, which was incredible. But you know what's funny? Having these amazing visits actually made the everyday distance harder to bear. We started talking about one of us moving, which was a huge step.
Wow, that is a huge step. That means you were both really serious about making it work. What happened with that?
Well, we both realized how complicated it would be. I would have had to learn Spanish fluently to work in Barcelona, and he would have had to start over professionally here. Plus, we were both so young. I was just finishing college, and he was just starting his career. We weren't ready for that kind of life-changing decision.
That makes complete sense. Moving to a different country for a relationship is such a huge decision, especially when you're just starting your adult life. How did you guys handle that realization?
It was really hard, but we had an honest conversation about it. We both agreed that we loved each other, but we also loved our own lives and futures. We decided to end things on a positive note, rather than let the relationship become a source of stress and resentment. It was heartbreaking, but also mature, I think.
It sounds like we both learned similar lessons, just through different experiences. It's interesting how long-distance relationships really test what you're willing to sacrifice for love, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know what I've realized, though? Even though both of our long-distance relationships ended, I don't regret them. They taught me so much about communication, trust, and what I really want in a partner.
Exactly. I think long-distance relationships actually made me a better communicator in all my relationships afterwards. When you can't rely on physical presence, you really have to get good at expressing your feelings with words.
That's so true. And I think it also taught me about the importance of having a shared future vision. Long-distance relationships need an end goal, some kind of plan for eventually being in the same place. Without that, it can feel hopeless.
I wonder if long-distance relationships are easier now with all the technology we have. I mean, we have FaceTime, WhatsApp, social media. Couples today can practically live in each other's pockets even when they're apart.
Yes and no, I think. The technology definitely makes communication easier, but it might also create new problems. Like now, you can see exactly what your partner is doing all the time through social media. That could make the jealousy and trust issues even worse if you're not careful.
That's a really good point. You know what? I'm really curious about our listeners' experiences with this. Have any of you tried long-distance relationships? What worked for you and what didn't?
Yes, please share your stories with us. We'd love to hear about successful long-distance relationships too, not just the ones that ended. Maybe we can do a whole episode about listener experiences with love across distance.
That would be amazing. But for anyone listening who might be in a long-distance relationship right now, what advice would you give them, Ava, based on what we've learned?
I'd say first, be honest about what you both want and expect from the relationship. Have those hard conversations early about your timeline and your end goals. Second, don't put your life on hold. Keep growing as individuals, even while you're maintaining your connection as a couple.
And I'd add, communicate constantly, but also trust each other. Don't let your imagination run wild about what they might be doing when they're not talking to you. Also, be creative with staying connected. Find ways to share experiences even when you're apart.
And most importantly, and this might sound harsh, know when to let go. Sometimes love isn't enough if the circumstances aren't right. It's better to end things while you still care about each other than to let distance turn your relationship toxic.